High-level trade talks between the U.S. and China are wrapping up today. President Trump is set to meet with China's vice premier this afternoon. Bret Baier is with us, host of Special Report on the Fox News channel. Seems to me, Bret, that we might have some movement here because President Trump's talking about a meeting with Xi Jinping to finalize a deal. Seems to me that's movement.
Yeah, I think so, Stuart. Good morning. I think that we're hearing behind the scenes from the administration, from people on Capitol Hill, that there has been movement in these talks, that there is optimism surrounding them, that no one is slamming the table and walking out, that there has been incremental progress throughout, and that eventually something's going to be announced, whether that's today or not until the president meets with President Xi. We will wait and see. But I think overall, everything that's coming out of these talks is optimistic. Obviously, the Chinese have been taking it on the chin, too, as this back and forth over tariffs has continued.
I don't think a meeting with Xi Jinping has been formally arranged.
No.
I don't think there's a date for it or a venue for it. It's nothing like just it's mentioned that this could take place. I mean, that's as far as it's gone at the moment.
Right. It's not on the calendar as of yet, but perhaps today you're going to get the announcement that that meeting is in the works and that they're looking for a date. I think you're going to see some incremental announcement today as the talks wrap up.
Wow. I'll watch the stock market because if there's anything positive about China trade, that market usually does quite well. You're in the nation's political capital. You are the politician par excellence, the political reporter, I should say. What do you make of former Starbucks chief Howard Schultz maybe running as an independent? He seems to have set the political world on fire.
He really has. He's roasting a lot of people. All of the words used around Starbucks are quite something. You know, he's stirring the pot. He's got everybody caffeinated. What it is that Democrats are really worried that an independent run will cost whichever candidate on their side the election and hand the election to President Trump in a re-election bid. The bottom line, however, is you have a long way to go, Stuart, and you've got a campaign to run in the middle, and you have substance to talk about. And something Howard Schultz has been talking about, at least in these Q&A efforts, has been concern about the deficit and debt. We don't hear that from the administration. We don't hear it on Capitol Hill, and we definitely don't hear it on the campaign trail on the left as of yet. So there are things that Howard Schultz could bring into the mix if he chooses to get in that would be unique.
Do you think he would, if he gets in, runs as an independent, do you think he would take votes away from Democrats or more votes away from Republicans? What do you think?
I think it could be equal. You know, there could be disaffected Trump voters who leave. There could be disaffected people who think the Democratic Party is too far to the left, and that's why he says he's running. He's kind of left of center candidate. But what happens is if he gets enough of both pots, it throws it to the House of Representatives, and there's all kinds of different mixes that come out of that.
I just remember Ross Perot way back when, and I think by entering the race as an independent third party, I think he threw the election to Bill Clinton back in 1992.
Well, I think that's definable. I mean, I think at 20%, which is what Ross Perot brought in, clearly Bush would have won.
You know, I really envy you, Bret. I mean, you're right in the middle of the most dynamic political life of all.
We're just starting, Stuart. Here we go.
Oh, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Thanks, Bret. We'll be watching tonight, and that's a promise. See you later.
See ya.